In early 1968, the icy waters of the North Pacific held a deadly secret. Far below the surface, a Soviet ballistic missile submarine, known as K-129, vanished without a trace. It was armed with 3 nuclear-tipped ballistic missiles and carried nearly 100 officers and crew. The Soviet Union launched an immediate search, sending ships and aircraft scouring thousands of miles of open ocean. But the vast expanse yielded nothing. To Moscow, the K-129 had simply disappeared into the deep. What they did not know was that the United States Navy had heard its dying breath. Through a classified acoustic monitoring system called SOSUS, the Sound Surveillance System, American intelligence analysts had pinpointed the exact location of the submarine's final implosion. It was a chilling echo from the depths, captured by an underwater network designed to track enemy submarines. When analysts plotted the data, they realized the wreck lay over 16,000 feet below the surface, more than 3 miles down, in one of the most remote and hostile parts of the ocean. Yet it carried something the United States could not ignore: nuclear warheads, codebooks, cryptographic equipment, and possibly evidence of Soviet missile guidance systems. At the height of the Cold War, information was power. The K-129s represented an extraordinary opportunity if it could be reached. No nation had ever attempted a recovery from such a depth. The challenge was beyond imagination. Temperatures near freezing, immense pressure capable of crushing steel, and the constant threat of Soviet surveillance made the idea nearly impossible. Yet, within the Central Intelligence Agency, a plan began to take shape. Using the latest deep-sea technology and unlimited resources, America would try to raise the sunken Soviet submarine from the ocean floor without alerting its enemy. It would be one of the most daring and secretive missions in espionage history. But before any recovery could begin, they had to find a way to disguise it. An entire cover story, convincing enough to fool the world. The race for the ocean's silent graveyard had begun. In the early 1970s, deep inside Langley's most restricted offices, the Central Intelligence Agency approved what would become one of the most ambitious covert engineering projects in history, Project Azorian. The objective was simple to state, yet nearly impossible to execute. Raise the lost Soviet submarine, K-129, from the depths of the Pacific Ocean without anyone, especially the Soviet Union, realizing it. The United States government needed a front, something large, believable, and powerful enough to mask the true purpose of their mission. That cover came from one of America's most eccentric billionaires, Howard Hughes. His name carried a mystique of innovation and secrecy, making him the perfect camouflage for the CIA's plan. Officially, Hughes was launching a deep-sea mining venture to recover valuable minerals from the ocean floor. In reality, his supposed mining vessel would be designed to retrieve a 2,000-ton Soviet submarine loaded with nuclear missiles. Thus began the construction of the Hughes Glomar Explorer, a ship unlike any other ever built, costing an astonishing $500 million, equivalent to several billion today. It was engineered to operate with surgical precision in complete secrecy. Beneath its enormous hull, engineers fitted a massive mechanical claw, known as the capture vehicle, capable of descending 3 miles into the ocean to seize the wreckage. Every part of this operation was unprecedented. The ship had to remain stable on a moving sea, lower and lift immense weight through miles of cable, and maintain radio silence while operating under the watchful eyes of the Soviet Navy. The project involved thousands of workers, many unaware of the true purpose of their labor. CIA officers managed the logistics under false identities, while Hughes Company served as a convincing public distraction. As the Glomar Explorer neared completion, it embodied the height of Cold War innovation, a floating fortress of deception and technology. By 1974, it was ready to sail to the Pacific, its crew prepared for what intelligence officials described as a mission that could change the balance of power. But in the vastness of the ocean, One misstep could expose the entire operation. As Soviet trawlers circled suspiciously near the recovery site, the world's most expensive secret heist was about to begin. In the late 1970s, while the world's attention remained fixed on nuclear treaties and political summits, another operation unfolded far from public view. This one was even more dangerous, carried out within Soviet territorial waters. It was called Operation Unveils, a joint mission between the United States Navy and the National Security Agency. The objective: to penetrate the Soviets' most secure underwater communication network in the Sea of Okhotsk. The United States had discovered that the Soviet Navy used submerged communication cables to transmit highly classified messages between naval bases on the Kamchatka Peninsula and the Pacific Fleet headquarters at Vladivostok. These messages carried strategic orders, submarine patrol schedules, and nuclear readiness information. If those cables could be tapped, America could listen to the heartbeat of the Soviet war machine. The operation was launched from the USS Halibut, a former ballistic missile submarine converted into a spy vessel. Its crew consisted of elite Navy divers trained to operate in pitch-black conditions, at crushing depths, and under the constant threat of discovery. To reach the Sea of Okhotsk, they had to cross into waters heavily guarded by Soviet patrol aircraft and sonar buoys. The slightest detection could mean death or capture. Once in position, the Halibut settled silently on the ocean floor. Divers exited the submarine through a special lockout chamber, dragging with them a titanium wiretap device the size of a small car. They located the Soviet cable and clamped the recorder over it, without breaking the line, to capture communications passing through. Each operation required hours of nerve-wracking work in freezing water and near total darkness. Every few weeks, the Halibut or another specially equipped submarine returned to retrieve the recordings. What they brought back was pure intelligence gold. The information decrypted from those tapes revealed Soviet naval strategies and helped the United States maintain an upper hand in nuclear deterrence. For nearly a decade, this clandestine mission remained undetected. It was a feat of underwater espionage and endurance, proving that the front lines of the Cold War stretched far beyond land and sky, to the very bottom of the ocean itself. In the mid-1970s, the secrets buried deep beneath the Pacific began to surface. The CIA's incredible feat, the covert recovery of part of the Soviet submarine K-129, was on the verge of being exposed. In 1974, the Hughes Glomar Explorer had successfully retrieved a section of the submarine from more than 16,000 feet below, a moment of triumph that was quickly overshadowed by tragedy. As the enormous claw lifted the K-129 from the seafloor, part of the wreck broke apart and plunged back into the abyss, taking most of its contents with it. The portion that remained contained the bodies of several Soviet sailors and fragments of sensitive equipment. The CIA conducted a solemn burial at sea, filmed and later quietly given to the Soviet government years after the Cold War ended. But the operation, codenamed Project Azorian, was now at risk. In 1975, the Los Angeles Times obtained leaked information about the mission. The revelation stunned the intelligence community. Journalists demanded confirmation, but the CIA faced a dilemma. Admitting the story could ignite an international crisis. Denying it could fuel suspicion. The agency crafted a new phrase that would become legendary in U.S. government language. We can neither confirm nor deny the existence of the requested information. It became known as the Glomar response, a term born from the very ship that had carried out the world's most secret salvage operation. Meanwhile, another blow struck American intelligence. In 1980, NSA analyst Ronald Pelton betrayed Operation Unveils by selling details of the cable-tapping mission to the Soviets. His actions led to the discovery and removal of the listening devices in the Sea of Okhotsk, effectively ending one of the most successful espionage programs of the Cold War. Both exposures marked the twilight of an era where innovation and secrecy intertwined beneath the waves. Yet, despite the betrayals and losses, These operations demonstrated the lengths nations would go to win an invisible war. The Cold War's most decisive battles were not fought on land or in the skies, but in silence, under thousands of feet of crushing pressure, where technology, deception, and human courage collided in the pursuit of knowledge and power.